Right, you know what? I'm going to start with that again because I just realised there was no audio on. I don't know how that happened. Right, okay, long story short, I will start again from the beginning. No audio or video shown from the film. We have the synchronised timer. You should be able to guess what what's for. And there'll be a 5-second lead in when we start the film. There we go. Okay, so I didn't miss that much. But as I was saying, this has been rated as by the people at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California. Basically, you know, smart people have been, they have voted the film 2012 as the most scientifically flawed and absurd science fiction film ever made. This is the article I am referring to. There we go. Now, this came out in 2009, so you're looking at what? 14 years ago? And this was just before, the year 2012 and everything, where, people were prophesying the world's going to end because the Mayan calendar... True, but they may not have seen Moonfall, and I think Moonfall may have came out after that article was written. But at the time, I suppose also as well because it's actually, when did Moonfall come out? I'm going to come back to my original point in a minute, but that's when did Moonfall come out? Let me just check. 2022, yeah, so okay, that's only a few years back, right. So, yeah, this came... So, I suppose you could always take that article as the silliest premise for a sci-fi film that they had seen up until that point. But 2022, yeah, I had a quick check, and that seems like it, 2022. But anyway, yes. The whole Mayan calendar thing was like, that they were saying that, what was some of the articles? I'm trying to remember now because this a few years back, that their calendars were pretty exact and pretty detailed. So a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but a few people, Tinfoil Hat Brigade, basically said it's like, oh, their calendar ends in 2012. Oh no, the world's going to end. It's like, yeah, dude, there's one problem with that. The Gregorian calendar that we use ends in December the 31st. What do we do when the calendar ends? We get a new one. That's basically what it was. Because their calendar was like dealt in decades, if not centuries, and things like that. So from their point of view, it's like, right, okay, Dave, we're done. We don't have to make another one for another 200 years. Fantastic. That kind of logic. Not that the world was going to end in what they would call, or what we would call 2012. It was just complete nonsense. So that was one minor issue I had with it. But it's a sci-fi film, and I say this again and again, you kind of got to turn your brain off with sci-fi films. However, all right, this is where I've got to be careful not to push my blood pressure through orbit. Okay, so I'd a little bit of a preface to begin with. Now, I quite enjoy disaster films, especially ones that are have not really happened, or they're referencing something that could happen. Like Dante's Peak, The Towering Inferno, which is a really old classic one, but I classify it as a disaster film. The Poseidon Adventure, all that kind of thing. I freaking love those films because they're genuinely, they're either completely mindless or they're just like what I would call a popcorn movie where you just sit down, get yourself some snacks and drinks, turn your brain off, and you get entertained for like 90 plus minutes or whatever else it is on. This is one of the few films that has generally made me... The Dawn of the Blockbuster. Yeah, there were so many of those sort of ones. Always such good films, just entertaining. But this... Okay. Now, this came out in 2009, so I was watching this in cinema with some friends. I think I was watching it with my girlfriend at the time. And for the same reason, the trailer for this and the special effects in this film, I will say, look really, really freaking good. And it's one of the reasons why I like watching this film again and again, because there's a couple of set pieces that happen in this film that are just magnifique, as they say, the chef's kiss. So, this is reasonably near the beginning of the film. Not right at the beginning, but reasonably near the beginning. One of the characters in this says something. And my partner at the time, I just felt her hand on my arm. And she gave me a look as like, don't. Because she could tell I was about to like... Now, bear in mind, this was also quite a few years before I had my autism diagnosis as well. I mean, now it'd be like, yeah, I know what was doing it. But at the time, it wound me up. And it's just one little line in it. I mean, again, most sci-fi films, you do have to turn on your suspension of disbelief and turn off the logic circuits in your noggin. But as somebody with a amateur interest in astronomy, it's one line that wound me up to the point where it's like, yes, dear, I'll behave, but I will be venting after the film. Which was fair, we went there to watch the film, so it's fine. I tried to focus on the special effects and the other side things of it. Now, again, don't get me wrong, I do not hate this film. If I hated this film, I would not be watching it. But this is what everybody has, a film or a show that you like to watch because it's so bad or so wrong, you can't help but watch it and start swearing at it. What do they call it? Is it like a hate watch? I'm not even a hate watch because I don't hate the film. It's got some really good actors in it. There's again some amazing sequences and set pieces with it. There's one particular sequence which was what converted me to wanting to watch this in the cinema, and I'll point it out when it happens. I aren't going to have any spoilers. But BYOC. Oh, that was the beginning of my villain era. That was that. And I will point out the line when it happens. In fact, you will probably see me just start going, eye twitch. It's one of those sort. But that line aside, and a few of the, and let's be honest, really bad science in this film, it's actually not a bad film in its own right. It's not a bad film. It is just so scientifically inaccurate and... yeah. Now, there's another film that I watched. Again, it is also considered to be really scientifically inaccurate. But to its credit, it knows it's scientifically inaccurate and stupid and ridiculous concept. It's a film called The Core. I saw it in the cinema. Actually, probably around the same sort of time as this. Very much enjoyed it because it was so silly, ridiculous, and over the top. Even the characters in the film kind of acknowledge it's like it's a tiny, tiny spoiler, but one of the characters turns around and goes, "What am I doing? This is ridiculous." Like, yeah, that's the thing. If you accept that The Core is a completely ridiculous concept, it is actually brilliant. It crosses that line because it doesn't try to be 100% accurate. It doesn't, say... I mean, there is some science in it which is reasonably accurate, but it doesn't try to be accurate as a film. So it's like, yeah, screw it. We know this is ridiculous. We know this is stupid. Deal with it. And you know what? I respect them for that. This doesn't try to be silly. This is actually, in many ways, quite a sort of a serious sort of film. Like, and what it deals with. It's now I'm going to read out the little blurby bit. There's no spoiler because it's literally here for me. Solar flares creating instability at the Earth's core leads to an apocalyptic series of spectacular natural disasters in this blockbuster special effects epic. Mega earthquakes, sweet. Toppling skyscrapers, not bad. Massive tidal waves, oh yes, and more. So like I say, this has got all the tropes that I like in a disaster film. but it tries to be a science fiction film. And I think that is where my brain just has a short circuit. If it tried to be a disaster film, and I went, look, we don't know what's causing this, but we just know this is about to happen. Fair enough. But like I say, I do actually enjoy watching this. It's not a hate watch. It is a, because I don't hate the film. It's a like I say, everybody's like an old like an old comic book cover. This one has it all. Yeah, this is exactly the sort of thing that would be like in a comics. You'd expect them to be a, like probably more like a Marvel one, I would say, or of ridiculousness going on and over the top things like that, and you'd be like, this is ridiculous. But I think, and again, I think that's why every so often I do get the urge to watch it, because it's not a horrible film. Like, I have a sort of a personal rule that if I feel like I am entertained, it's the film's done its job. For me, a bad film is when I'm bored watching it. That for me makes something bored, which is especially true because of the ADHD as well. If a film can't sort grab my attention, even for a bad reason, it's bad. I mean, to be fair, there's probably only one film I have actually walked out of the cinema for. Only one, because it was really bad, and I then found out later it was based on a book by L. Ron Hubbard. I will not say the organisation that he set up, but yeah, I have issues with that organisation. Right. Okay, so let me tell about my cranberry juice. Yeah, as I say, I've literally only walked out of one. That movie. I mean, partially I would say yes, because I was watching this with my girlfriend at the time. I didn't want to sort of walk out and leave her in the cinema because that's a dick move. But once I sort of know what, no, just watch the film, watch the pretty explosions, have your rant afterwards because you don't want to spoil it. There's a couple of bits in this that are just like, hell yeah, things like that, and that I think is what keeps me coming back, is those sort of moments. Now, in this film, oh yes, I've heard about Greenland. That's about interesting. Okay. Oh, Gerard Butler. Interesting. Okay, so now this is a slightly longer film than the others. Now, it does say for content advisory, flashing images, violence, foul language, which, if it's an apocalyptic event, I would hope there would be foul language. But I think flashing images is just like very certain bits. Directed by Roland Emmerich. Yes. Okay, now here is the cast list that is listed here. Some of these are pretty big names. We have Thandie Newton, George Segal. You may not recognise the name, but you'll recognise the face. Woody Harrelson, Zlatko Burick, Morgan Lilly, Jimmy Ministry, Danny Glover. Yep, that Danny Glover. Amanda Peet, Johan Erb, John Billingsley, Oliver Platt, Chitrao Ejiofor. I think I pronounced his name correctly. I always think of him as from Stephen Strange films. Alexander Hussman, Patrick Bush, John Cusack. Yes, that John Cusack. Stephen McHattie, Beatrice Rosen, Liam James, Tom McCarthy, Philippe Hulsman. Sorry, Hulsman, not Horseman. Sorry, I apologise. Yeah, there's quite a few famous people in. Well, I say famous. There's quite a few like biggish names in this. So it's got a bit of It's had a bit of a budget, but now this does go on for a little bit longer than the films we normally watch. It does go on for 2 hours 31 minutes, but I imagine that about 10 minutes of that is probably going to include the credits. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop waffling. I'm going to adjust my lights to make sure it's a little bit brighter. There we go. So I can actually sit, oh, there we go. There's my handsome face. So yes, I'm going to queue up the thing, and like I say, there'll be a 5-second lead in, and then we will begin. So get your butts ready. I will try not to swear, but I do warn you now, when that line comes up, I will be good. I will be good. I will be good. Right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. There we go. Yeah, flashing images, violence, foul language, and in the UK, this has got a 12 rating. Yeah, it's a longish film. I imagine they want everybody to have the same, all the screen time and everything. But this is like loads of disaster films basically mashed together. So they have to give, and I will say, like I said, the disaster sequences are pretty freaking good in a ooh kind of way, not in a oh there's millions of people just died kind of way. So no, imagine me interested in amateur astronomy, film stuff like this, and I'm like, ooh. You may want to turn subtitles on for this. Oh, yeah, that's when you realise that a solar flare that big is like thousands of times the size of Earth. Big boys. Ah, yes, when the film comes out. Hmm. Symbolism. I do like a good curry, but I couldn't eat a fish curry because of I can't eat seafood, unfortunately. But a good proper curry with a naan, garlic naan. Oh yeah. Dude must be sweating his nuts off. That's Fahrenheit. Now, the idea of putting a monitoring station like this in a deep underground mine it is a good idea because of I'll put these subtitles on. Yes, I'm with you so far. There's logic to that. Okay. That's literally not physical. Yeah, exactly. That's physically impossible. But again, science fiction, and he does say for the first time. Because if they were causing a physical reaction, they wouldn't be neutrinos, they'd be something else. And this is one of the reasons a legit. There we go. That's the line out. But the neutrinos have mutated. particles do not mutate. Now, if they'd have said something along the lines of these particles look like neutrinos and acting like neutrinos, but they're not, they're just like some new particle the sun's pumping out for some reason, would be raising an eyebrow, but would be acceptable. Yeah, now that sounds to me a lot like super bollocks. Yes. And I'm somebody who's literally written a PDF about technobabble, okay? Oh, there we go. So it's just like, yeah, that was that was the point when my girlfriend at the time was just like, no, behave yourself. But the whole thing about having like a neutrino detector deep underground, you know, with water and bits and pieces and stuff like that, that's legit. That is legit. Maybe not the way they were doing it, and it would probably have to be a lot bigger. But you know, again, science fiction, it's fine. Yeah. See, that's the sort of thing I can. What's the word I'm looking for? I can tolerate because it's like it's kind of accurate, but not. But the whole neutrinos mutating thing, yeah. All they had to do was just change it to a different line. And fair play to this guy, he does turn around and actually starts to listen to the scientist. And understands what he's saying in his report. Which is unusual for politician types. Yeah, and immediately starts going to work on his plan. So I will give the dude the credit for literally realizing shit's about to go down. So yeah, the whole Mayan 2012 stuff, yeah, it ends in 2012 because that's when their calendar ends in the same way that ours ends on December the 31st. You just get a new one. Just theirs is measured in decades, if not centuries. Yes. It's like, I'm too old for this shit. Yeah, this is something that involves the entire chuffing planet. Was it France, Germany, Russia, Italy, obviously the US. Hmm. Now, again, the logic of where they decide to build this thing does make sense. However, yeah, all these people who live in the area are now in deep poo poo. Because it's like, yeah, we need this area to save the planet. So why is that not coming up with subtitles? Ooh. I guess in the audio description there, one. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so €1 billion is about what, 1.5 billion at this time, roughly, give or take. Okay. I was wondering why the subtitles went on. Without being vulgar, Fandy Newton is absolutely freaking gorgeous. I feel. She's one of these people who I think if ever I met IRL, I would just be like, my higher brain functions would just shut down. Well, that's really bad images. No, again, science. Yeah. I mean, yes, the sun does have circular seasons, and it does have solar eruptions, which can be pretty chuffing big. And if I remember correctly, it's something like every 10,000 years or so that, or maybe even 20,000 years. I can't remember the exact value, but it's something like the Earth's magnetic fields flip. It's basically like a spinning top. Sometimes a spinning top, when it spins, it will sometimes just stop and spin the other way. That's basically what it is. The process itself wouldn't cause any harms directly to humans and organic life. Technology would be in a bit of a pickle. But, there'll be a few birds who will be very, very confused, especially like the pigeons in London. But they wouldn't be dead. They'd be like, what the flip? Like, you'd survive it. It'll be okay. So yeah, there's definitely, I say, cycles to things, and that was one of the big. Yeah, that would be concerning, especially if you live near California or near any of the what do you call it? Near any of the major fault lines. Like, a lot of people don't realise as well, but the UK, for example, does get earthquakes. It's just ours are very, very low. We're like 1.2 on the Richter scale and things like that. And that if you trace the line, I think it goes across like from the Appalachian Mountains in the US, that it sort of dips because of the Atlantic Ocean, and then you can see, yeah, I think it's like in Scotland, where you can see basically where that part of the plate used to mesh up against the Americas. Like, you can almost see the direct line kind of thing. And there was a book I read many, many years ago where, due to science fiction wibbly wobbliness, somebody accidentally sets off an earthquake in Scotland because of the old fault line that is like, billions of years old, but it's still technically there. So millions of years old, not billions. But you know what I mean? See, and he's trying to be a good dad, this character. Some kids have bathroom issues. Uh, As I say, he's at least making the effort to be a dad present in their lives. So this is all the setup. And as I say, there are a few characters in this that I do sort of have a empathy for when the poo poo hits the fan. And these two are some of them. I love these dudes. Yep, that's one of the precursors. Yeah, because people think like earthquakes are just a one and done job. They are not. Yeah, this is like the rumblings. Like, like you look at like Krakatoa and what's the other one? Mount St Helens. Like there's a picture of like I think it's something like 2 days apart where you got Mount St Helens. Nice. Picturesque mountain. 2 days later, 2/3 of it's missing because it erupted. And it didn't just erupt, it was like an explosion. Oh, hello, Fuzzball. Oh dear. I cannot hear this song now without thinking of BioShock Infinite. Great game, but I can never play it again because of how it ends with the DLC. And apparently, I'm not the only one who thinks like that. Great game, just can't play it again. There's Willie. Do they Yeah, that's the thing. No, you're not necessarily wrong. When you're dealing with physics, especially when you get into the extreme lots of physics, you stop dealing with certainties and you start dealing with probabilities. That's, seriously, top end and low end physics, for want of a better term, is weird. But I freaking love it because it's weird. So I'm just keeping an eye on the cat. Hmm. Hmm. Suspicious. Okay, yeah. Like, let's leave them alone, shall we? Okay. Yeah, how do you tell your daughter that's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gearing up for the possible end of the world? Yeah, if you can't trust your daughter with something like this, then 46. And there it begins. The government types are only looking out for themselves. Yeah. So I will say that the reactions that some people have in this is reasonably realistic in terms of the different, the stereotypes of the self-serving ones, the one who just wants to do the right thing, the person who's like, what's going on, all those sort of things all do make sense. Also, as a character, not the actor, but the character of that of the young lad annoys me. Like, I don't hate the kid actor for it, but I don't like those types of characters, no matter what the age is. Hmm. That's yeah. That's it. Lots of dead trees. Oddly enough, almost every politician in movies and TVs now pales into insignificance. Yeah, that is very true. Hello. Hi. You come to watch me swear at the okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like they're self-serving, but they're at least competent. If that makes I know. You come to join me. It's Woody Harrison. Yeah. You okay? You okay? Yeah. I mean, you did literally jump over the fence that said, you're going to be in trouble for doing so, and you think that wouldn't have been noticed? Woody plays characters who are slightly unhinged very well. A bit too well. Oh, there's there's somebody you may recognise if you've ever watched Star Trek Enterprise. Granted, when he was in that show, he had a lot more prosthetics on. John Billingsley, correct. Played the most excellent Dr. Phlox. Yep. I can't remember how to spell it, but I know how to pronounce it. Phlox. 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 Eh, if someone's reading your book. Hmm. You vouch for them, so they're not in trouble. They're just like the sort of verbal warning sort of thing. Yeah, because they could have been shot. Hmm. Hello. See, this is another way that they could sort of explain why they made a fluff up in the calculations. If it was a new particle being emitted by the sun rather than neutrinos, then it could have properties that they wouldn't, that reacts badly with a magnetic field. They could do lots of different explanations. Of course, it then begs the question: why is only Earth being affected? But again, sci-fi film, turn brain off. Yeah, yeah. Pack the essentials. We are leaving. Yeah, like I say, I don't have a problem with the actor who plays that scientist guy. I don't have a problem with the character that's a science dude. Just why did they give him such a bad line? He's unhinged. Like I say, he plays unhinged characters disturbingly well. It's like some people could just tap into something in their subconscious or whatever, and just like unleash the beast, so to speak. Yep, it's a pickle. I remember that another good film. If ever it comes on like Prime or whatever, I will want to watch again because I haven't watched it in years and years. It's another John Cusack film called Gross Point Blank. To be fair, he isn't working on his book. He is a smart kid. This is back when cell phones were not as common as they are now. And they were starting to become common. Yes, I do not wish ill upon that child, but not exactly. I don't like that trope of characters. Adults kids, older folks. I don't like those ones who are just annoyed and angry for the sake of it, sort of thing. So now he just realised he's met a local celebrity. Yes, that's the thing. That's not really a lie. There's just so many volcanoes and bits and pieces in that general area that if it did go off, it would be one huge volcanic explosion. Which, so like I say, for every good thing this film has, and reasonably accurate, reasonably, there's at least one or two things that are just like, see, now I understand this guy going on about the mines because he's obviously a conspiracy theorist type. Makes perfect sense for him to go on about it. Oh, you okay, Fuzzball? Okay. It doesn't. No, no, again, but conspiracy theorists. Now, again, I can put it like this. I don't think how to put this. Yeah, that's the thing. No, it wouldn't. The neutrinos would not. They wouldn't. No. Okay. This is another one of the things I have an objection to, but I have to counteract this. Hold up your hand for 5 seconds. In that 5 seconds, over millions and millions of neutrinos have just passed through your hand. They have. It takes a very difficult and specific setup to detect them. They're not impossible to detect. They are just very, very difficult to detect. Very, very difficult. So even if the neutrinos were, increased by like 1,000-fold, it would have zero effect effectively on Earth's core. Again. There you go. That's my rant out the way for now. Yes. Accident. And the thing, this is another trope I like, kind of. Is when you meet a conspiracy theorist in a film and they're babbling on about loads of different things, but one of the things they have said is actually accurate and relevant to the plot. Or they have the right information for the wrong reasons, so they misinterpret it. Or, like in Independence Day, when, what's his name, Randy Quaid's character made that comment about, how aliens kept, visiting him and investigating parts of his body that should not be investigated unless you're a doctor, if you know what I mean. And that's it. That's the thing. As characters go, as I say, he's kind of right. What's the math, Hasbro? Ah, He's a douchebag. Yeah, that would be legitimately terrifying. To, you walk out to your car park at night and you just see. Yeah, as somebody who is a semi-professional writer, I don't like that guy. Again, no shade on the actor. It's all towards the character. And the universe goes, "Oh, really?" Okay, yeah, that would be legitimately terrifying. That's a yeah, that's understandable. Now I'm trying to remember what that is. I think it's something like five. Was it 50,000 or 500,000? Obviously, generally the higher the better to maintain genetic integrity, because there was a point in human history when we, as a species, we dropped down to something dangerously low, like 200,000, what could arguably be classified as humans. Which is why, at a genetic level, humans are basically identical to each other. With the usual genetic variants. It's something really, really low. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's low. Humanity almost got wiped out. What are you doing, Fuzzball? Come on. Hello. Hi. Yes, I love you too, but you're going to have to move your butt. I can't watch the film with your butt in the way. Thank you. Oh, you just want attention. Okay. Let's give the cat attention. Yeah, 400k would be enough, but how many of that 400k on the boats would be? Yeah, that's the issue. Yeah, that's the issue. It wouldn't be a family tree; it would be more of a family reef. But there is a number. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Where, from a genetic point of view, that would not become an issue. I mean, yes, there would be higher instances of Sweet Home Alabama, but 400k would be more than enough at a genetic level. There would be many, many other problems, but yeah, that wouldn't be as big a problem as it now. I mean, obviously, the more the better, but yeah. But it's something like when you drop below that certain amount of percentage, if you assume, again, I've got to choose my words carefully because I don't want to get banned from Twitch. But under that certain point, even if you assume that close-knit relationships would occur, the chances of any genetic issues become increasingly amplified by a ridiculous amount. So that's basically the whole point. But yeah, there would be a lot of again, I've got to choose my words carefully. Close relationships. Yeah. Half Mile Fisher. Yeah. Like I say, again, John Cusack's character, yes, he's a little bit of a loser, but he's a good dad at the very least. And I think that's what the lady character, I forget her name, was trying to sort of communicate. It's like, look, yeah, he may be a loser, but he's a good dad, and that's why she stayed with him. But obviously, it gets to a point when you can't do that anymore. But excuse me. I mean, pancakes are pretty dope. Can't deny that. Especially a little derpy dog. Las Vegas, yes. Been there. Yeah, yes, the rich ugly arc. Oh, these two little shitheads. Mind you about. But to be fair, these characters are made to be little douchebags. So it's like you immediately see them to think, I don't like you. So again, fair play to the kid actors. They did a good job of that. Oh no. As I said, little shits. They're meant to be little shits. Because isn't like the Hawaiian Islands? Aren't they all volcanic as well? Like they're literally volcanic islands or something like that. Lies. I've just realised who that character's supposed to be. Who that's supposed to be? Southern California, thick accent, action film. Yeah, that's supposed to be Arnold. Yes, get to the chopper. Ah, yeah, the governor. Yeah, see. Again, you can just about hear it in the accent as well. And once again, the universe just goes, nah. Now are you going to believe your husband? Ex-husband, sorry? And what's his first... Notice what his first reaction is to try and save his kids and his ex and her current partner. That's his first action, the first thing he wants to do. Yeah, I mean, California's ripping apart. You can get new hats later, maybe. Now, as I've said, there are some very good SFX and action sequences in this. This is one of them. Like that. And this is one of the reasons why I do actually enjoy this film. Yeah, because that is what you call that's a level 5 brown trousers moment. Oops. And we're back to the ridiculousness again. Yeah, it's... Shit! Literally. Just a random donut rolling past, as you do. Hey. You can tell this is obviously the CGI because it's a 14-year-old film. You're going to notice the differences, but it's still... Imagine seeing this in the cinema. 2009 when it first came out, where you're not going to notice the telltale imperfections. Yeah, that dude's dead. Oof. Yeah, that's going to be an insurance bill. Have you people never heard of seatbelts? Nope. Like I say, it is ridiculous, but come on. I think, yeah, just don't... Hey. Yep, by the way, Pasadena. Yeah, basically California's splitting off. Yep. And what was that? Was it Escape from LA, basically? Just, yep. Yep, that entire... area, I suppose you would call it. Congratulations, you've just been promoted to pilot. Yeah, your 2 lessons are way more than everyone else has had. Yeah. So they're just like seeing like the entire landscape just folding in on itself. Yeah, dude, you do not have the time to... Yeah, I was just saying, just like, yeah, forget about your check, just go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and just seeing that in the rear view mirror. Yeah. Like I say, ridiculous, but freaking dope at the same time. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Just keep flying. Just keep flying. Go higher, you numpty. Why are you flying? Why are you doing a Death Star run? Go higher. You're in a plane. I mean, granted, it does look cool, but and the ground is coming up to meet them as well. So I'll give them that. Oh, that's a pickle. Yeah, up, plane up, plane up. Go above the buildings. Okay, bye-bye. Like I said, I will be picking this film apart. And you notice I've been very good. I haven't sworn once. I've been very good. Arcs. Yeah. He's been right so far. Listen to him. I'll say maybe a loser as. Oh, yep. Bye bye, California. Bye bye. Yeah, seeing that was just like, oh, yeah. Uh, it kind of is. And that's what we call irony. Like, ladies. And immediately, you can just see the change in the guy's attitude. He goes from being, you know, jazz singer to immediately into dad mode. There for his son, even though he's. Yeah. The ship's called the Genesis as well. I'll say, if you ignore the iffy science, the characters are in this, I think, is one of the reasons why I keep coming back to this film. Because I love the characters and just how they act. You know, like he knows what's coming and he's saying goodbye to his son. Yeah, they've not said anything, but they know this is probably going to be their last phone call. And at least you've got the time to do that. Not everybody gets that chance. Yeah. Yeah, there's a time and a place for alcohol. It's like, dude, just give me the bottle. Obviously, he's been on Yeah, there's when you're in a situation like that, it's like, you know what? 25 years of sobriety. Yeah. Now, for somebody who's only flown a couple of lessons in a single prop plane before, they did a freaking good job. And I've got to. Now I've got to be careful. I almost spoiled something then. So, we've had Earth. Technically, we've had air because of the whole neutrinos. Right. So, yeah, we've had air. We've had water. Sorry, we've had air, we've had Earth. We've got water, and we've got fire to go. Yeah. Like I say, I don't have a problem with child actors. I just don't like the trope of the other kid. Let kids be kids for crying out loud in films. It begins. Can you guess which disaster is going to happen next? Can you guess based on where they are and what I said about a minute ago? Look at the way that that's bulging is terrifying. Planets should not be doing that. And you know what? The dude is absolutely mentally unsound. But I respect and admire the way this guy goes out. Little spoiler. If you're gonna go, go in style. Look at that. It's becoming one volcano. I wouldn't say he's crazy, just misinformed and slightly mentally unwell. But he's not crazy, and he's right. Boom! Yeah. Seeing that in the cinema was just like, that was the Earth just pooping itself. Yeah, Don't stand looking at it. Although, to be fair, you've just seen the biggest volcanic eruption since, well, when what created the moon smacked into the earth. No, no, the dinosaurs. Since the dinosaurs. Like I said, if you're gonna go in freaking style. Sitting on top of the biggest volcanic eruption since the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. It's like, yes, Daddy, you look terrified. I mean, if that doesn't get into Valhalla, what doesn't? You know? Yeah, yeah, that's an accurate observation. Oh, and that's yeah, and the pyroclastic flow, those things literally go that fast. Even like, what's his name? Who's that really fast runner dude? Is it Usain Bolt? Even he couldn't outrun a pyroclastic flow because they go about, what was it, 60 miles an hour ish. So, and there we go, more ridiculousness. Yeah, we're back to this. We're back to the silliness again. And those things as well. Was it the? Oh, again, I'm forgetting what they're called. I'm going to call them lava bombs because I can't think what the proper name for them is. But those things are like the chunks of the earth being yeeted up into the air and then coming down as like mini meteorites, sort of thing. Yeah, that's a legitimate thing. That's the map of the underground. Run. See, if you knew it was in one section, just grab the entire section. But again, I'm going to look at what those things are called. Okay, yeah, so it's just part of the whole volcanic eruptions, really. Like I say, it is ridiculous. Plus, yeah, you are dealing with a lot of ash and stuff in the air, but again, it's not. It's a good job it's not a jet engine. Let's just say that, because otherwise that would be a pickle. Yeah, see that there? See how fast that's going? Maybe a little bit of exaggeration, sure, but yeah, you can't outrun pyroclastic flows, which is also a fucking dope name. But there was a film, and I forget which one it's in. It may have been another John Cusack film, actually, where the main character literally outruns one of those flows. And I can remember watching it and just going, are you effing kidding me? Like, no human on this planet can outrun one of those. What? It humanises the characters. I mean, they can be douchebags, but you can kind of understand why they're douchebags. And there's nothing wrong with not liking the characters. When it crosses over into treating the actor like a that you become a douchebag yourself. I mean, that's a bit petty, but fair enough. I can kind of understand that. Yeah. And that's just in one location, 2 million people dead. Probably just as many, if not more, injured. And that's, yep, there goes Christ the Redeemer. Now, you think that, if you're in a country that has, religious beliefs, so I was trying not to burp there, I do apologise. And you're in that area, but that if you're having like a moment of problems, you can just look up and see a big statue of Christ, and be like, yeah, dude's got my back, sort of thing. And then you just see it crumble. What would that do to you as a population? As I say, I don't like what they're doing, but I understand why they're doing it, and it's in that kind of category of I hate that I understand and can kind of agree that they're doing it. I just don't like the people that they choose. It's that sort of logic. There we go. I'm not a religious person myself, but you know what? At times like this, I would very much understand if someone said, you know what? I'm going to go to the chapel for 10 minutes. Yeah. As I say, I understand it. Don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand. Especially if you're a deeply religious person yourself, you would want to do that. Honestly, yeah. That I think is probably. I mean, it would suck, but I think if you want to make it the fairest way possible, I legit think that would be the best way to do it. Of course, there would be those who are more unethical, shall we say, but if you only have very limited numbers, like again, let's be generous and say they had half a million, available for the arcs, assuming everyone just gets in, sort of, tightens their belt, sort of thing. Out of a population of, like, what was it? What, a smidgen under 8 billion by this point. So that's bye bye Vegas. I'm trying to think what percentage. It's a low percentage, whatever it is. A very low percentage. See, at least the kids, is standing up for his dad. Yeah, that plane's fudged. Yeah, that's a chunky dust cloud. It's Air Force One. And yes, as was pointed out in chat earlier, considering should we say, the current state of governments around the world at the moment, they would be the last people I would want to have on any of those arcs. But if everybody, and I mean everybody, was given a truly equal chance, and it was done by a lottery, I feel that would be the fairest way of doing it. However, we all know that wouldn't happen. Hmm. And now everyone on that plane's going, say what now? Yeah. Hmm. So yes, I would be very what's the word I'm looking for? Very suspicious if a overabundance of politicians, tech bros, and all those type of numpties get on board. If there was a lottery, yeah, and can say goodbye to his daughter. Yeah, but again, as I said before, I love the way. Apart from this, obviously, the disaster effect, I do love the way the characters are portrayed in this, and it is one of the reasons why I do like watching this film. Like, if it didn't have the iffy science in it, and I mean the really iffy science, I think this could have become one of my favourite films of, the last 20 years. However, yeah, Earth is fudged. Yeah, and what was he saying about a minute earlier about telling people, and now the president's literally on the TV telling the entire planet. I mean, that's pretty dark to have it like, cut off mid sentence like that. He's just gone from a prop plane to basically a Boeing. Yeah, dude. I mean, you're more of a pilot than anybody else. Okay, apart from the blonde-haired dude. Oh, that's a big plane. Ah, of course. I Again, if it wasn't for the current Russian government, but again, let's just say governments around the world in general. Ooh, ooh, dude, dude likes his cars. I keep thinking that that pilot's Aaron Eckhart. It's not, but it's like no, he's like his like his younger brother or something like that. Oof, yeah. It's like, look, look, don't worry about it. We'll deal with it later. That's a problem for future us. Oh, yeah. Now I can understand with a jet like that because those things are freaking heavy and they need a long run up to get up to speed. Yeah, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if the the person who wrote this sort of thinks, you know what, we had one sequence of a plane flying through an earthquake. Why don't we have a second one, but with a bigger plane and a bigger earthquake? Oh, Shosbud. Oh, there goes one landing wheel. Yes, the Vegas version of the Eiffel Tower. Bye bye, Vegas. Bye bye. Like I say, oh, look at that landscape. Ah, we are getting wisdom. No, teaching a lesson. Hi. Hello. I know. Come on, move your butt. I want to see this bit. Thank you. Also, seeing that younger guy as well reminds me of when I was very much the guy I met when I was working in retail. many many years ago. Proper like Shaolin style outfit. Maybe not, that's not the right term, but he had that same sort of garb and stuff on. And this one was working in a game store, and he comes in and it's like was just like looking at all the different games and things like that. And it's a bit of a stereotype, but can you guess what game he bought? I don't know if it was for himself or if it was for somebody else, but it was Tekken. It just made me giggle. Yeah. Not as funny as the time of the nuns, though. That's another story. Yeah, see? She's happy. She has a hat. Excellent. See? I'll say it's like it kind of it's like humanizes the characters. Like it shows that everyone's got a good side, everyone's got a shitty side. Not you. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's strangely motivational. Dude's got a valid point. If you was in his situation with that cash, you'd probably pay as well. Yeah, bit of a pickle. Ooh, yeah, that's yeah. I was saying what would happen to Hawaii? Yeah, the entire chain of islands are volcanoes. That's what would happen to Hawaii. Basically, like Yellowstone, but with yeah. I remember rightly, one of the Hawaiian mountains is if you mountains volcanoes. If you measure it from what was it? Everest is the tallest mountain above sea level, I think. But that the one that's in Hawaii is like if you measure it from like the center of the earth or something like that, it is bigger, just because of the way sea levels are and all that nonsense. So that's why there's always some debate over what's the tallest mountain. Flying through all of that actually would be bad. Exactly, yeah, especially with jet engines as well. It would be like You know, like if you've ever tried to hoover up something and it gets clogged up, you know how the engine just goes and then can go kaput. That's basically what would happen to a jet engine. But it would also, yeah, volcanoes give off a lot of ash. So again, we'll just pretend that the wind's blowing the ash away from them. Even though that would be a lot of ash, that would cover a wide area. As I've said before multiple times watching this film, very bad science. Good special effects, good characters, bad science. Well, not necessarily good characters, believable characters. That kid's so adorable. Yeah. Like, your strange father's on the phone and you're like, what is it, the end of the world? Oh, funny you should say that. Yeah, why do I get the feeling it's like one of the reasons why he's estranged is because he married a Japanese lady? Or, sorry, maybe not Japanese, a Asian. Or no, not Oriental, that's the bad word. Although he would probably think Oriental. But we don't use that word anymore, it's a very bad word. Well, it's not necessarily a bad word, it just has lots of negative connotations attached to it. Yeah, even a helicopter would struggle flying in all that ash. Hey. Yeah. You know, first of all? Right. Yeah, just basically something goes, look, that couch is mine. You're more than welcome to sleep on it, okay? That's an order from your president. Get your butt on the couch and get comfy. Again, very, very human reaction. It's like, look, dude, I've got bigger. Oh, God, it's the president. And he's a decent president as well. He's not one of the douchebag ones. Timber! Little eyes. Ooh. 9.4. That's on the Richter scale. If I remember correctly, like a 10 is really bad. So, it's the Vatican. Been there. Well, not actually. There's some people. Well, that square bit is. I've not been inside it. No, I'll tell you. No, I have. I have been inside it because I've seen the Sistine Chapel and looked up at see the whole work that Michelangelo did, and giggle at some of the symbolism that I could see. Yeah, there. That one. It's picture. I will say it. Picture. Oh, now there's some symbolism right there. Um, what's what I was looking for? You can't really appreciate it until you see it for yourself. Yes, you can see pictures, you can see videos, but it's not until you're actually there that you can look up and you can realize it's like just how detailed and big that whole thing done. Now, I can very much understand why some people consider it to be a borderline world wonder. Oh yeah, there's going to be yeah, yeah, Earth shifting on the crust, tsunamis of biblical levels are going to be coming in. Yeah, here comes water. Like I say, we've had Earth, kind of had air, we've had fire. Now it's water's turn. And you know what? Again, major respects to this guy here as a character. He knows what's coming, and he's going to go out on his own terms, making peace with the world. Not everybody gets that chance. And he just realised what's happened with his why that phone call got cut off. Yeah, here it comes. It's gonna I mean, he's pretty much just stand on the edge of the ship, just going, "Okay." Like Woody Harrelson's character stand on top of Yellowstone when it blew up. If you're gonna go with some dignity and style. Yeah, that's an aircraft carrier. What can you do? What was it? Yep. Yeah, and that just shows how big aircraft carriers can be. I've just seen what the time is as well. And as I said at the beginning, this is one of those films that, even though it's a longer film, it does hold my attention. And that's all I really want from a film, is to be entertained. Of course, don't get me wrong, I also like things blowing up, but only in fiction, not in real life. What? I'm sorry. Sorry, someone's demanding the text. What's the matter? You just want attention? Yeah? Okay. After what you just went through, I would have to change. Specifically my underwear. Hey? Yeah, sounds like hyperfocus. And that's the problem. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't that you were a writer, it's just that you were a writer whilst ignoring your family, which is a big no-no. It's the important thing. So you'll say, he's not a bad guy. He's just a bit of a twit. There we go, yeah. They've flipped. That's the thing. The actual poles flipping, it's in and of itself, is not a problem in the grand scheme of things. It will definitely cause issues, but it won't be apocalyptic level of event. You would have to like recalibrate GPSs and things like that. Lots of animals would be really freaking confused. Other bits and pieces, but it would be manageable. It'd be expensive. It wouldn't be pleasant, but it'd be manageable. All the other gubbins, not so much. I don't think he does hate Gordon. He just doesn't get on with him, because he's. I mean, yeah, well, I get him fine, but he doesn't hate him. Probably would. Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be fun, and well, whatever we would call that type of plane, that juggernaut with no landing gear in the middle of an apocalypse when half the atmosphere is on fire and the other half is basically dust, and there's water everywhere, and earthquakes. And you've got. Yeah. Remember, that's exactly what happened. That, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, they didn't go to China. China came to them. Literally. Yeah, this is going to be an unpleasant landing. It's going to be a bit bumpy. Although, honestly, that with that beast of an aircraft, it could probably survive this. But it's going to be unpleasant. And that is a nice car. I mean, fair play to the guy. He does have good taste in cars. I will give him that. Now, again, yeah, someone's got to be at the wheel. Otherwise, it's just going to. You got what? Several hundred tons of chunky Russian metal going at probably over 100 miles an hour. The engines are conking out. You got no landing gear. So, I mean, that's yeah. Like I say, dudes got good taste in cars. Bentleys are not cheap, especially when walled out gubbins. I mean, that car's probably worth about 500,000 at least. It's like, break, 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 break. Jesus, Buddha, SpongeBob. One of you help me. Oh, hello, cat. Sorry, someone's being very affectionate. Hello. Hi. Oh, shuzbut. Yeah. R.I.P. Sasha. I mean, again, if you're gonna go in style. And a giant fireball after saving people? Heck yeah. I forgot this sequence. It's just the giraffe just like the giraffe's just going, what? Even the elephant's like, hello. And like, um, why are there some silly Americans down in the valley there? That is brutal. That is. Yeah. Yeah. Even the kids are like, sorry, bye. Oh, oh, I know that guy. Oh, I'm trying to think who he is, but I know him. The commander. I mean, that's a great way to get kids reading. Ooh. Again, those helicopters always look like they've got like two little eyes on the back. Num num num. Right, you're gonna go and do your okay. You're going off your evening walk. Okay. Well, this hasn't dated well. I mean, considering when the film was made, it was fine, but awkward. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when this film is set in 2012, she was absolutely fine. But now, if you think about it, back then to this degree, regardless of what your opinions of her as an individual are, you can't deny she was probably the most famous monarch in the world. She wasn't called a queen, she was always called the queen. Like, you would say, oh, I saw the queen today, and everybody would know who you were talking about. I mean, she's like, she was like the third longest monarch, I think, in terms of like, because she got coronated when she was like 19 or something. Very, 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 very recognizable person, is what I'm saying. There you go. Then he meets the Buddhist fellow earlier, and I imagine it's probably sort of in him in his sort of thing that's like, well, I've got to at least make an attempt at helping these people. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. At the very least, you should have given the workers, you know, like a double chance on the lottery or something. If you're going to do a lottery, be like, right, everybody gets one chance. If you actually work on the ships and do stuff like that, you get a double chance. That kind of thing. Yeah. Now bear in mind how high those mountains. Yeah. New World, day one. Remove all the rich. Well, think about it like this. They're going to be on some arcs over a lot of water. Oops. Oh no, he's fallen in the water. What a shame. Yeah, the only thing that came because the. Again. No, when the last thing he does is he calls up his friend, hugs his wife and kid. What could you do against that? And then yeah. But no, I very much agree. Yes, get them on board. Push. I mean, they're not going to have their money and wealth, are they? Yeah, well, considering that dude was the guy who figured it out in the first place. Yeah. That's one big tsunami. That's a big boy. $28. Excuse me. I'm trying to know who that guy is as well. Watchman. That's where I've seen him from. He played the old Night Owl in Watchmen. That's where I've seen him before. Like I was getting the brain itch trying to figure out where he was. I've seen him before. That's not a very good film as well, Watchmen. It's not exactly like the comic, it's like graphic novel, but it's sorry again, cat is, but it's close enough. It's close enough. That's again. There's no problem with the cat when she gets affectionate. Her hairs get everywhere, especially in my eyes for some reason. That's because she keeps headbutting me. Honestly, I'm still impressed that guy's glasses have stayed on. That's actually quite, consider all the stuff they've been through. That's very impressive. His glasses have stayed on. For some reason, I'll think. It's not again. It's a weird thing where it's not showing the subtitles all the time properly for some reason. Lifelong glasses, if you need them, you find that is. I mean, I wear glasses as well, and the amount of times these things have fallen off, even when they've been brand new. But I suppose what's the word? If you have the sort of things that sort of make them tight around your head or whatever, like a little strap, then you can do it. I'm not kidding. The amount of times these have fallen off when I've just tilted my head down and then doom. To be fair, I do need to get some new glasses. So. Ow. I think if the next pair I get though, I'm going to be that sort of stereotypical old person and get the chain that puts them around my neck. So if they do fall off, then they only go down to like the worst, my navel, if that. I mean, on the one hand, I thoroughly understand what this guy did, but he's just caused a major problem. Yes, remember, when you're dealing with a mob of people, the IQ of the mob is the IQ of the lowest in person there divided by the number of people in the mob. Now, that's based on a Discworld quote, and I may have mangled it. Now, it's not saying that individual persons are fuckwits, but it is saying that it is amplified when there's more people around. Yeah. What's that quote from... yeah, what's that quote from Men in Black? A person is smart, people aren't. And that... Yep. And that I found to be very, very true. Most people, individually, okay. Most. When you get them in groups. And remember, there's over 8 billion people on this planet. And having recently played No Man's Sky and now built a Corvette that looks very much like the Battlestar Galactica, that ship design looks very familiar to me. Oh, nope, save the old dude. Oh, he's lost his bag, but better to have lost his bag than to have lost his life. And again, you can see the other dudes like appreciate it's like, oh. Yeah. First impact. And it's coming right for them. Yeah, seeing when those people fall was like, oh, that is terrifying. Okay, word of warning. If you're claustrophobic, there's a sequence coming up which is maybe unpleasant. Like, it's not graphic. It's just I've had a friend who's watched this and they can get a bit of claustrophobia, and it was like, I promised that if ever I watch this again, I would remind people that there's a sequence coming up. I say it's not graphic, and most people will be okay. Just if you have claustrophobia, just be warned. I mean, I understand why she did it. I understand. I don't agree, but I understand. Excuse me. Yeah. So yeah, one thing to say to remember is yes, there's lots of rich people and stuff on board, but once all this is over, they're gonna be as penniless as everybody else. See, again, I don't agree with the guy, but there's you got both sides of the arguments going on. That do you? Yeah, you just said one of your longest, oldest friends basically die on the phone from you, whilst you on a call with them when you thought they were going to be picked up and saved. Dude's venting, rightly so. Again, I'm just checking on the cat. See? Some people can be non-douchebags. Yeah, you're going to need to move back because you're going to get squished otherwise. You're a bit too close to where the thingy's going to come down. Yeah, move back. Yeah, this is about what's talking about the whole claustrophobia and stuff like that. That'd be a no from me. Mm. Oh, and the flashing lights. Oh, yeah, of course, the flashing lights as well. That was unpleasant. Mm. Yeah. That is yeah. So it took about 5 minutes for the gate to open, basically. If I remember rightly, this was the scene they showed in one of the trailers. That. Just this scene, knowing that it's in Nepal and seeing a tsunami come over the mountains must makes you go, oh, oh, that's a big amount of water. And that was the scene that made me want to see this film. It was like, oh, yep, inertia's a bitch. You saved your son, but squish. Ah, yes. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, I know those kids. Sometimes I hate the way my memory works. See, this is why you need to have a wide variety of human types. You need the people who are focused and who can get the job done, yet you also need the people to be compassionate and to be calm when shit's hitting the fan. You need both types. That's why humans have such a variety of neurological statuses. What we would call neurodivergency these days. Evolutionary-wise, it's good for a species to have neurodivergency. However, human bodies and minds have not quite caught up with things. It still thinks we're stuck in the hunter-gatherer stage of our evolution. And remember, this is in a valley. It's channeling it. Yeah. This is gonna hurt. Impact. Yep. You've got a big chunk of what was once the Pacific now coming into your arc. Ooh, that's gonna leave a bruise. Which is a smart move, but from a plot. Oh, you really are being cuddly tonight for some reason. What's the matter? Oh, you're damp. Have you been outside? Hmm. Hi. Hello. But, sorry, someone's being very cuddly tonight. She gets like it from time to time. Nothing to worry about. It's basically like she decides, yes, today I am going to be affectionate towards you. Because. Yeah, yeah. It was designed. Now there's irony. Yep, it was designed to protect against water, not against a giant Boeing going smack into one of the supports. Ooh, that's a pickle. Scrape! Like, yeah, that's going to cause some instability issues. Yeah. Bit of an oversight, really, when you think about it. Still, what do I know? Oh, that dog looks drenched. I'm sorry. That dog just looks so absolutely drenched. It had, a, it had like the look of pure terror on its face. Poor thing. Oh, I'm sorry. That just makes me laugh. I just seen that. Yeah, yeah. That's like, mm, that's what you call a problem. Yeah, it's probably Gordon's body is blocking the hydraulics. Too soon. There's there's some logic. Again, it's that kind of. I mean, the kid's not stupid. He knows what he really means, but it's like it's giving him an excuse to not go with him, sort of thing. That water's got to be really chuffing cold as well. That's the thing. Whenever you see, things like actors and stuff are in, filming water sequences, you know they've not only been in there for like what you've seen on the film. They're probably been in there for like at least 3 times as long, sometimes even longer. Yeah, this was the other claustrophobia thing I was talking about. The water coming up. And one thing that always does make me laugh is how people can see underwater. Like, again, I accept this is probably due to my rather shitty eyesight, but trying to see underwater is really freaking difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. Like, it's a lot harder than people think it is. But again, it's not impossible. It's it's never as easy as they show in the films. Basically, is what I'm saying. Wouldn't it be unfortunate if Gordon's body comes flying past? Ugh, that would be a pickle. I can't do anything about that now. Like, no, I don't have time to argue with you now, you little shit. Hold the frigging light, okay? Yeah, that water's definitely going to be cold. I was going to say, can you imagine, filling out the insurance claim for this one? But there probably won't be any insurance companies left by this point. And if you think about it, is that a bad thing? All right, tell me about Mr. Panicky Pants. And again, fair play to him for getting the kids to actually be useful and keeping an eye on things like that. You can't do this, but I'm going to need to be able to see. Keep that freaking light on me. Yeah, I need to move. Yeah, Operation GTFO. Oh, careful. What are you doing? Hello? Told you she's been very affectionate tonight. What's the matter? Come on, mind your butt. Yeah. I mean, if that arc got what what's one looking for? Beached on Everest. Once the water settles, that would cause major problems. you know, considering considering the lack of oxygen that would be in that level. Uh, excuse me. something else I have to point out as well. Who else, as a kid and sometimes as an adult, has ever tried to do the thing where you hold your breath as long as the actor is doing it on whatever scene you're watching? So, like, you only breathe when they breathe, kind of thing. I think I'm. Oh, okay, give him a hug. Give him a hug. So remember, Hollywood time. It's very different to real time. Excuse me. Gee, your cat is everywhere. Day 27, month 01, year 0001. Yeah, it would make sense to reset the clock, so to speak. Hmm. See, you read the book. What do you think? It was crap. Where would you go? You were asking on an arc. What would you do for a date? I mean, you're gonna have to. It's gonna be something that has to be thought about. But yeah, what would you like? Give me 10 minutes. But yeah, what would you actually do for a romantic date on a ship like that? See, moderate to go there. Yeah, imagine they would have to ration the food stuff a lot more. And I suspect that the air quality is probably not great on the Ark after almost a month of being shut in. Getting to see your first sunrise probably in a month. Yeah, and those ships are chuffing big. Can't deny that. Yeah, and I mean, I suspect there probably is going to be some refineries and things like that, but you're probably going to want to set up some kind of, pulley system between the arcs. You can't keep flying backwards and forwards. Oh, there we go. Hmm, irony. Going back home, metaphorically speaking. Yeah, Africa's about to get 40,000 people dumped on it. This is assuming they can actually get to Africa, because if it's risen, it may cause a problem to get people up there. Like, if it's gone up like that, it won't be a major problem. But if it's actually just gone up like that, and Africa's now basically a giant, mesa, in effect, once again, would be a bit of a pickle. Okay. Obviously, what the time is as well. That's honestly, that's actually gone reasonably quick. Yeah, if you think about it, Africa's now just become a separate continent, like like Australia is, sort of thing. Roland Emmerich. Okay, so I am going to be very quick and call this a night. Next week I will be returning to Fallout 4 and Crowd Control, because that went really well last time. So there's going to be lots. If you don't know what Crowd Control is, it is basically a way where if you watch the stream, you can spend a currency that you can earn from like channel points or donating whatever, and you can get some free as well, and you can spend that to basically make my life interesting in good ways or bad. Sometimes it's quite bad. Sometimes it's very bad. Sometimes it's good, but it's also sometimes bad. It is also it's fun. It is a lot of fun. Especially when somebody summoned 120 ghouls into an enclosed environment. That was interesting. But yeah, that's what we're going to do next week. Like I say, I have a cat who's getting very, very. Will you make your mind up, madam? What are you doing? I love you too. I love you too. So I'll say good night and have a good weekend. Bye bye. I need to. Excuse me. I know, but I need to press the button so I can stop the stream. I have a cat literally in the way of the button right now. Bear me one moment. Oh, there we go. Now she's moved. Thank you. Good night.